Hey everybody, welcome here to another installment of Disgruntled. Today is actually a really cool day. We're kind of just going to do a hodgepodge of things, talk about a hodgepodge of things, because as we all know, unless you've been living in the sewers with the Ninja Turtles, everyone knows what's been happening. And today is extra special because we got our friend Jason here. Hello, sir.
What?
Hi. Boy, you look tan. You look really tan.
It is. It's difficult out there for me. 12
Happy
hours
summer.
a day. Yeah, man. If I weren't so dang busy with that, I'd be in here more often with you. So I'm ready to slow that down and get back.
Hey, man, life happens. We get
Right.
it. It's all good. So I think what we should do is just kind of reflect on the things that have been happening in the last couple weeks in our country, because there's no shortage. And folks, for all of you out there, I was just explaining to Jason before we started recording that in the last couple weeks, I haven't really talked about anything veteran related or military related in the last couple weeks because of the upheaval going on. There's just too much. So, where do we even start? We could start with, old Teflon Don getting winged in the ear. We could start with,
Right?
AI, Joe Biden addressing the nation when he stepped down. We could talk about Kamala. We could talk about Cheeto. We could talk about all kinds of things.
I don't even know what the Cheeto thing is, but I want to get there. What is that?
She's the head of the Secret Service.
I just called her Magoo. I don't even know. It's just on iFunny. Again, you know
Yeah.
where I get my news.
Well, so she stepped down finally a couple days ago after
Get
she
out of
sat
town.
after she sat in front of the committee, the congressional committee, and they tore her to pieces.
But didn't she come out of like private security? Is that what I heard?
That's
Maybe
what
somebody
I
out
heard.
there could correct me, but
Yeah, that's what I heard too. But it's still unclear to me, and I haven't dug into it because, to be quite honest, I'm not sure how much it really matters. The fact of the matter is she's clearly not fit for the job.
Has that not been the common theme throughout this last 3.5 years? Nothing about this makes sense. Yeah, I mean, and again, this is just my humble opinion. If this is a scripted sitcom that we are watching, it is the most poorly written sitcom, and it's the one that has probably the worst character development.
Oh,
From
yeah.
Buttigieg as the transportation secretary. I don't even know where to begin or where to stop. And I don't want to go too far into that because I think talking about old T-Dog sitting up there and getting wung in the ear is pretty ridiculous. Because then, every conspiracy under the sun comes out that he faked it. They faked it.
It's a setup.
It's a setup. It's this. It's that. This is to get the sympathy vote. Well, I'll tell you this much. If you're shooting for the sympathy vote, no pun intended there.
I see what you did there.
I did not do it on purpose, I assure you. I'm not that quick. But if that's how you're going to garner sympathy, is by being shot at? For people out there who haven't been shot at, when you are shot at, it does not sound like it does when you sit behind a rifle or a shotgun.
Right.
Right? And so immediately when people are, talking about things, and of course I've got buddies that wanted to call me right away. Oh, it's all bullshit. It's all trash. You got to watch this.
Yeah.
You got to watch that. And I'm like, dude, once you get shot at a couple of times and you understand what that actually sounds like, the fact that he didn't react in instant makes all the sense in the world.
Yeah, confusion.
We've seen people take round center mass that still have a few seconds of movements forward, or they haven't even changed their tune.
Right.
So this is not an uncommon phenomenon.
Yep.
Number two, if you look back on a little larger view, you can actually see there's a telehandler in the background, and all of a sudden there's this big mist and spray, and the boom starts coming down. Well, this wasn't faked. Do I think there were a lot of things that occurred that allowed this to happen? We haven't seen that happen before in this country, have we?
I'm not sure.
Well, gas prices don't rise on their own, but if I start to dwindle down the amount of domestic oil that's being produced, I can cause this. So, with that gal stepping down, which I think was a good thing, it was clear there were a lot of failures that were laid out. The sloped roof, like that had to be one of my favorites.
Yeah, it wasn't safe.
That wasn't safe. So you had local police who have to react versus being proactive on Overwatch, which again is commonplace, but you would also think that if you were going to put your Secret Service snipers, those who can shoot proactively, they would be in a position to take proactive shots.
Well, you're right. And furthermore, don't you give them the freedom to make that call? Reportedly, allegedly, the gentleman who did kill the assassin, we won't use his name. I don't think he deserves being even recognized that way. Said he had him in his sights, in his scope for like 2 or 3 minutes, but wasn't allowed to take the shot, was told no.
But right, and that's why we talk about on deployments, right? They're not. That's what I'm saying. The people that they put in those places should have been the people that could make a decision left of bang.
Right.
Not this way. So there were numerous failures that occurred. For Christ's sake, you've got video upon video of people screaming, there's a guy on the roof. And then the story about the police officers who went up on the ladder and fell down.
Yeah.
I mean, how many you know what I mean? It's like watching Hogan's Heroes. Like, how many failures do you need to have occur to get to this moment in time?
Well, here's the thing that's interesting to me is that these guys all think that we're all going to just believe this. These politicians and our leaders think that we're all going to just believe that, well, you know, we have regulations in place, we have TTPs, we have systems in place, and you know we do it this way, and this way, and we don't deviate from that. Well, clearly, whatever your system for execution is wrong. Right?
Seems flawed.
You don't put anybody. I'll tell you one thing. If I am in charge of, let's say I'm in charge of protecting Grandpa Ose, right? And we're going to put somebody in an elevated position to provide Overwatch. I'm not putting anybody up there that I don't trust to take a shot when needed. I don't want you to have to call me and ask me for permission and then tell me, and then have to tell you, well, hold on, wait one, let me clear with hire. Hey, you know, blah, blah, blah has a line of sight and blah, 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 and this and that, PID. Okay, take the shot. Now, by that time, he's already shooting at us. Take the shot and then tell us. Or take the shot, or tell us what's going on, take the shot, and then we'll deal with it later. If there's a person on a roof with a gun pointed at a crowd, either it's a sick joke and sorry, but you're dying today, or you mean us harm. And just take them out.
That's it. But therein lies the complete nonsense, right? Because even though we were talking about somebody who had to act right of bang, there needed to be an instance to require their actions.
Mm-hmm.
Why?
That's a great question.
Police in front. They can be left of bang unless they were given orders. And this is what we've talked about this numerous times. You know, you want to see, you know, again, once something actually happens, you want to see what that plan looked like. I want to see what that Warno, what that Frago was. I want to see what orders were actually given down. Like, nobody wants to ask those questions. They want to talk about the fact that, was it local law enforcement? Sniper.
That's still unclear. I think it was a Secret Service
I don't
agent,
think so.
although his vest said police on it. It didn't say Secret Service.
I do not believe that he was Secret Service.
Okay.
I believe the things that I've said. And again, I could be 100% wrong because, again,
sure.
iFunny is not a perfect source, but it sure seems to be a hell of a lot closer to reality than the other things I've seen.
Yep.
So I think it was local. But if he had this guy in glass, and as you said, was at a vantage point where he could take advantage of a situation with a weapon, you don't need to know if it's loaded or not. Nobody's bringing a rifle with a scope on it to a rooftop.
Just to check out the
to
rally.
View. And if you are, you needed to be exterminated because you were so stupid.
Yeah.
The fear that you could potentially procreate and create more of you should be enough.
Absolutely.
I mean, None of it makes any sense. And then the reactions, I mean, you hear people talk about it. Oh, the way the Secret Service did this was wrong. You shouldn't have ever let Trump get up. And then the fist bump, like that Jersey Shore fist pump.
Yeah.
I didn't believe that to be true because I didn't know this had actually happened for about 4 hours. I was sitting out at the camp.
Oh, really?
And I got back to my phone, and it was just... And I'm like, well, this is nonsense. I'm like, okay, no, okay. I'm going to open it up, and it's going to be a big dong in my face. Like, I don't need to open up all these.
Good thing mine wasn't first.
Right? And so I see that. That was a very iconic image. That was
we'll
captured,
have it for the rest of our life.
right? And I was like, well, that's really neat. And then, of course, within 12 hours, you've got the high-speed shutter angle with a bullet whizzing behind his head, which, who cares, people? That maybe was just a 1 in a gazillion chance that it was actually there. But it's irrelevant.
Yeah.
That photograph of him rising through Secret Service with his arm up, regardless of everybody's talking about what type of blood spatter it is. Quit watching CSI. You don't know shit about what a bullet looks like going in or out of a human being. If you shot a deer, have you ever shot a deer and seen blood spatter everywhere?
I've never shot a deer.
Okay, well, that's not how it works.
I would imagine.
It's not
And furthermore, there's all these folks on YouTube that are talking about angles, and there had to have been a second shooter on the water tower, and there was a bullet to the right of his head, and then there was one 3 feet above his head, and I mean, so there's all kinds of information, but the truth is that we don't really know what the truth is. Nobody has said shit about shit. And so all we're left to is what we think. And of course, all these armchair quarterbacks and all these YouTube experts are gonna put out content to talk about what really happened, and who knows what the truth is.
Well, right, but I think it's funny to just discuss the abnormalities.
Yeah,
That's where the discussion needs to be for me, because that's what's interesting. So if somebody wants to sit there and say they know how it happened, why it happened, so on and so, cool, great story, bro.
yeah,
I don't want to hear that. What I've enjoyed hearing was different oddities that people notice. Mm-hmm. And I think we've lived through a trying 7, 8 years, 9 years maybe of oddities, where we wanted to believe the story that we're told because it's comforting, it's comfortable, and the mass seemed to believe it. It's no longer the case, dude. People are fed up. It doesn't matter if you're left or if you're right.
yes, good.
The oddities have finally overrun, and we can no longer sit there and believe that just because you vote R, you vote the good guy, or just because you vote D, you vote the good guy. This is absurd on every level, that we have to talk about this. And then the shooter just so happens to be a kid who's in a BlackRock ad. And that gets scrubbed from the interweb. They short DJT stock. I don't have to eat a piece of shit when I see a piece of shit on the floor and it smells like shit and I saw it come out of my dog's ass. Like,
I know
it's dog
poop.
shit.
Yeah.
It's poop.
Yeah.
I don't need this.
Straight dookie.
Right? And before, people would be like, oh yeah, that can't be poop. I didn't see the poop move out of the dog.
Yeah.
So it
couldn't be.
It could be or it couldn't be. I don't really want to
It's
make
like
a
the
decision.
Johnny Depp trial all over again. Well, that could have been human crap on the bed, but no, it might have been the dog. No, and it was her. I mean, at the end of the day, I think that we're not going to really know the truth. I don't think we're really going to know what really happened. And I think that this is going to be yet another instance where the wool is pulled over the eyes of the American people. And we're going to know just as much as they want us to know in order to keep wanting more and demanding more. And here's my thing, and I said it on the show last week. Maybe it'd be better if we just don't give it any attention, because what's going to happen is now we're going to have hearings and they're going to assemble committees and investigative groups. And this is all we're going to hear about until the election. And meanwhile, nobody that needs help from these politicians and the work that needs to be done, and none of it's going to be happening.
But I think we're at that natural stalemate right now.
Yeah.
I don't think we need them to do any more work. They've done a lot of work the last few years, right? They have turned the screws to each and every one of us. We feel inflation every day.
Yeah.
I mean, I just went to Taco John's today, and I brought Richard potato olays.
Never had them before.
Number one, how is that? That's the least Midwestern thing you could ever say, because I'm pretty sure there's a Taco John's in every small town, certainly here in Minnesota. How you've never stumbled into a Taco John's and had a potato olay makes no sense to me.
Sorry.
But I digress.
I'm
Those
sorry,
potato
guys.
olays were almost $6.
For that little cup
Yeah,
that you brought in here?
$6.
That's nuts.
My boy and I left Taco John's, 3 tacos apiece, a soda, some potato olays. I'm $30 lighter.
Whoa.
$30
$30 at a taco joint.
at a taco joint.
Yeah, maybe you're right. Maybe you got just put down your pens and pencils, Congress and Senate. Just chill out. Just ride it out. Start
you've done
questioning
enough.
people. Yeah.
Just let those pieces go. Because it's as crazy as Trump has an attempt on his life. You follow that up with Biden stepping down.
Yeah, man. Yeah. Before that, just this mysterious, hey, by the way, President Biden has COVID. And I think he was in like Vegas, and then all of a sudden he was in Delaware at home with COVID.
Really? See, I'm out of the news cycle.
I think he was in Las Vegas. I'd read something the other day that said he was in Las Vegas doing something. The Secret Service had called Metro, the Metro Police or whoever,
Okay.
and said, shut down the roads. We need to get the president to Johns Hopkins or whatever. And they had assumed that they were going to airlift him. So they shut down the roads, and then just magically they canceled that order. And then heard nothing else. And then, like a day or two later, he was at home with COVID. Unless I have the timeline all screwed up,
How many times has this bro had COVID?
I don't know.
He's all vaxxed up, and he gets COVID more often than COVID gets COVID.
Yeah. And then get this. Early this week, Hunter Biden allegedly starts dropping lawsuits against people, other states or whoever was trying to prosecute him for stuff that he had decided he was going to sue. He starts dropping these lawsuits now because Daddy stepped down, I'm guessing. And so many people are saying that he's already gone. He's already passed away. So who knows what the truth is? And then I think it was Monday or Tuesday or something like that. Joe Biden shows up at the White House. And he's
spy versus spy.
Yeah, man. It's really weird.
I don't know. He's starting to look and feel more to me like Mr. Bean than anybody else. You know, 'cause
Don't ruin Mr. Bean for me.
dude, Mr.
bro.
Bean. Well,
I love
mean,
Mr. Bean.
Mr. Bean's a man. Let's be honest. But just kind of he just walks like through the background.
Yeah.
In different
nobody
presidential
sees what's going
situations.
on.
And you're just
Yeah.
like, oh, hey, Meatball showed up. Like the eagle's in the nest again.
It's just the wildest thing. And this whole time, I feel like all these leaders and people in the Biden camp, they're just oblivious to it all. At least that's how they make it seem.
It's such
Like,
such
that didn't
bullshit.
like Star Wars. You don't see anything here. Like it didn't happen. You don't.
I say it's more like Spaceballs than Star Wars.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah,
I'm
who's
surrounded by assholes.
And the guy from Police Academy that makes all the sounds,
Right?
that's the sound of Joe filling his shorts.
Well, and they have spent, and when I say they, I clearly mean the power brokers in DC, regardless of affiliation. This has not been a short decline.
No.
right? Like
No.
we saw him. I mean, I had the T-shirt within 3 months of him going into office, of him falling up the stairs, and it said "Stairs 1, Joe 0." Like this was early stuff. Like walking up the stairs, although difficult, should be navigable
Absolutely.
for the most important position in the free world.
The
as we
leader
know
of
it,
the free world.
right? And so now all of a sudden, in a 2-week turn from that amazing debate, that raucous show of force that they brought forward for us to see, to now he's in the weeds and Cackling K is up to bat. What?
Yeah, well, and that whole thing. I'll tell you what. I would pay great money for the pay-per-view of Kamala Harris and Donald Trump debating each other. Leave the microphones on and let them cook.
And get this out of, I don't care. I don't want it on CNN. I don't want it on ABC. I don't want it on Fox. I don't want this anywhere. I want this in a public forum that's real. Bring a moderator in that's truly, I don't care if you're biased, but what I care about is that you can allow the conversation to occur.
Yeah.
How can as Americans, how can we not say that that's an important thing?
Well, and I seem to think that these debates should be a town hall format. I think that constituents should be allowed to ask questions of these people, questions that matter. Not I mean, I suppose some of these questions all matter, but the questions that working class Americans want answers to.
Right.
Like, where the hell did my 401k go? Where is my money? And if I'm broke, why in God's name are we sending billions of dollars for somebody else's war? Those types of questions, I think, should be asked to these folks in public, live, on a stage, so they can't think about it. They can't have some aide or some staffer tell them the answer. I want to know where the fuck my money is.
Right. And why are we not producing the things that we can? You know, because
Right.
I will say I did watch 10 minutes of Trump speaking after that event.
At the RNC?
I think it must have been at the RNC. I didn't see anything. I take that back. I got sent a 7-minute clip on Hulkamania.
Yeah.
Dude,
Running wild, baby.
a Trumpomaniac. I want to turn that into a regular guy shirt right there.
Well, I'm gonna when I find a Trumpomaniac T-shirt that they make in man size, I'm gonna buy one. They're all 2X or
They're all
3X.
2X.
I need a 4.
Are they tearaway like the old ones when we were kids?
I don't
hope
know,
so.
but I ain't tearing away any. I haven't worked hard enough on my pectorals lately. to
I'm not
tear
doing that.
away.
I just want to send a message to the people in my neighborhood that just I've given up completely and Trumpomania is in town. But getting back to his speech, which I didn't care. I was a little shocked that he didn't spend the entire time talking about that event. That was not what I expected. I thought that's all it was going to be.
Yeah.
It was a pretty minor detail. You know, made mention of it. I thought that was good. You have to acknowledge it. But when he started pounding on drill, baby, drill. If there is anyone out there that does not understand that the lifeblood of all economies is petrol, because it doesn't matter if it's the rubber in your shoe, it doesn't matter if it's the fuel in your vehicle, it doesn't matter if it's a pharmaceutical going down your throat to get you through the day. Everything that we touch
Need
is
gas.
driven by fossil fuels, which bullshit. Crude oil. I'm never going to say the word fossil fuels again because that's ridiculous.
I was just about to light you up.
right.
Son.
No, I'm back. I'm back. But fossil fuels, trash. So we did a wonderful job about it or before. And then, of course, we shut it down. And he came out and he said it. He goes, we are not only going to produce crude for ourselves, which we should, but then we're going to produce crude for the globe, which will reduce our debt. Now, I don't care if you're left or right. If you can't understand the basic economics with having value in our ground, getting that out and unlocking your dollar to go further when you go to, Cub Foods. I don't know any national chains. Sorry, I don't know where you guys are at.
Albertsons, Wawa's,
Right.
any grocery store. Yeah.
If you're going into these
Safeway.
locations, we took for granted what we had.
Yeah.
And I feel it at the gas with the vehicles that I drive. I've got a couple that get double digits, but most of the things I drive are single digit vehicles because they're necessary for what I do. And so when I fill up that 30-gallon tank and I'm ticking $105 to $125 every time, these were tanks that I was filling at $45 and $50 4 short years ago. Right? And
What
now
are they
I'm doing that with multiplicity, and I'm a small little nothing. So now you think about those big trucks that are hauling commerce, with 400-gallon tanks, and they're getting the same mileage. They're maybe getting 5 miles to the gallon. You don't think that all these things add up.
Well, what does it cost you now? If it was $50, $60 then,
It's $105 to $125.
that's
to fill a
crazy.
pickup. Yeah, and I get, on the one I drive regularly, I'm about 8.4 miles per gallon. And believe you me, I watch it. That thing gets down to 8.2. I know that air filter's got to go. Or I go back to the Barack Hussein Obama and I make sure my tires are inflated properly. Remember that bullshit? Your mileage is going down because your tires are deflated. Because, we had a pandemic of people driving around on underinflated tires.
Just so much. There's just so much BS.
Dude, and there's
out there,
people that
man.
ate this shit up. I don't know.
Well, I think that now more than ever, we can all agree that this idea that there's no such thing as a coincidence is a thing, because all this stuff, even from the last presidential election season, not just the election, but the season before, leading up to now, it just seems like everything. If you go back and look at it, I wish somebody would create a timeline. And when I say that, I always feel like I should say, well, quit being lazy and you do it. But I don't want to do it. But if there was a timeline of all the events that happened from the last presidential election season to now, leading up to the 2024 election, it would seem like there's a whole lot of coincidences. But now it's becoming, just like you said, it's ridiculous. It's asinine. And it can't be. There has to be other things at play. And I'm not even really that big of a tinfoil hat wearing type of person. And neither is my wife, really, to be honest. And both of us are like, well, this can't be just a goddamn coincidence. It can't be.
Unless Mel Brooks wrote it.
Yeah.
Right? No.
So,
just can't.
and so now the most recent thing was that Director Cheadle stepped down from the Secret Service as the director. She sat before a congressional committee and got hammered for like 4 hours. They asked her a ton of questions. They demanded that she resign. Basically all of them, both sides of the aisle. This was a nonpartisan, all-out attack on this woman, and rightfully so. And she answered not one question.
And again,
Complete stonewall.
And that's all fine and dandy, but why do we continually see these things happening and not ask the question, why do we have this post turtle again? How did she get there?
Well, that is a great question. What I had read, and I don't know this to be true, was that she was some bigwig at some security contractor, and they would do private security for rich people or dignitaries or something like that. And she had an extremely great track record in her career, but that is an appointed position. President Biden put her there.
He didn't put anybody there.
It's my understanding, and I'm sure somebody out there will correct me if I'm wrong, but it's my understanding that she was never even a Secret Service agent before she was the director. And that could be wrong. And to be quite honest, and I know what a lot of people say, well, why don't you do your effing research? You're right. And I haven't looked into her career because, to be quite honest, I don't care.
Right.
At the end of the day, she did not do her job. And after Donald Trump got winged in the ear, she publicly said, the buck stops with me. This is my fault. I take full responsibility. And then you sit in front of, I don't know, this committee had 20, 25 members of Congress on it. All of them asked her questions. They all had great, and not just silly questions. They all seemed to be good questions. I watched most of it. And she had not one answer. Well, I have to direct you to the FBI's investigation. I can't answer that because we're doing our own internal investigation and it's ongoing.
It's all bullshit.
And so, like, this is now a theme also. Like this idea of plausible deniability on all this stuff, and not just this incident, but everything that gets called in front of a committee for questioning and investigation. Nobody can answer any questions.
They sure don't seem to, do they?
Because they always pass the buck. Well,
I do not recall.
It's DHS's investigation. I'm going to have to refer you to them. Okay, well, then they get DHS in there. Well, it's the FBI's investigation. You're going to have to ask them. And so, like, it's this musical chair of different people and agencies coming to sit in. And then the members of Congress, they take their 5 minutes to ask questions. And then they call them out. Well, clearly you're not going to tell me anything. I think you're a liar. I yield back my time, and they turn off their microphone, and then that's it. And then these people walk out of there, and they've answered no questions, take no accountability, and nothing ever gets figured out.
Right. Well, and I'm sure there's such a lacking, or there's such a disturbance of information behind her right now that if she didn't step down, they would have found everything. Right? Because now she goes away, she's the scapegoat. Was she the one that said RFK couldn't get Secret Service protection?
She wasn't able to answer that.
Oh, so that was a question that was asked.
They mentioned it.
Well, how would you not, considering, number one, the family has a history.
Yeah.
Right?
I think so.
Vaguely familiar. He's a pretty prominent guy. He's got a lot of people mad at him. Mm-hmm. He has pretty particular stances on things.
And the Clintons are out there.
I don't even know what you're talking about because I'd never say that name.
Well, I'll watch myself go into my truck.
But he has been never given any sort of protection during all of this.
Well, he's got it now.
Oh, he does.
They granted it to him last week.
Well, why? Did something else happen? See, this is
after
for
Trump
you,
got shot.
Right. But this is for people out there that truly believe that it's just a series of events. Then you must believe every story your kids ever told you.
Yeah.
Or if you're a manager, you must believe that every story of an employee that has a hard run of luck, who can't quite make it to work on time every day. Because we all have those people in our lives. They are the emotional story baggage of your entire week. And really, at a certain point, it kind of becomes humorous because you're like, well, it is so unlikely that all of these things actually occurred to you without you putting yourself in that position. Like, I just want to hear it now because it's just kind of a giggle. Like the people, but I don't believe your story. I think you should be fed up to that point where it doesn't matter your politics. We need to demand something. And I think Stu's got something out, right? The accountability tour or the
extreme accountability.
Extreme accountability. I would take a moniker, just a small portion of responsibility to her, and just see how it tastes. Because there's never been anybody in politics as of late that's actually just said they've screwed something up.
Yeah.
Trump included. Yeah. He talks about the successes, which we all do, and especially as somebody who's in business, you get beat a ton, and he does, but he doesn't focus on it. And I know that's probably one of the things that people see in him, and they have a distaste for it. But for anybody that's in business, if you had to sit there and think about all those times that you got shit on or lost, it makes it really difficult to get up and kick ass that next day.
Absolutely.
So I see that perspective in him, and I find it now more charming than I certainly did before he got into politics. But he doesn't take any responsibility for things when they go wrong.
Yeah, I suppose you're right. I guess I haven't really looked at it that way, but
None of them do.
It always seems like there's always somebody to blame. And you're right, all of them do. There's never really anybody that goes, well, I was responsible for that. Now, this director Cheadle, she took full responsibility, but still had nothing to say. And sometimes, I'll tell you this, sometimes it looked like she really had no idea.
No way.
So the question is, was she really even in control of anything? Because there was a couple times where she was asking questions, and you know how when people, you ask them, because like you're certain that they're going to lie to you.
Yeah.
And you ask them a question, and the look on their face kind of tells you like, oh.
You really don't know.
Maybe you really don't know. There was one or two times while she was being questioned, I was like, she doesn't know.
I'll be dang.
She doesn't even know the answer to the question. So nobody briefed her, right? They know you're going to sit in front of Congress and they're going to effing drill you. So whoever knows the information didn't even care to like.
So they hung her.
Here's a sheet of paper. This is probably what they're going to ask you. These are the things you should know. Like a bulleted list or nothing. She walked in with a folder, and I don't know if she even opened it. She just sat down, had a sip of water, and played with a pen and got just beat up.
It was probably like me in my first corporate meeting ever, where I didn't know that you needed to write. It was socially awkward for me being in those meetings, but I didn't even bring a pencil or a notepad. Mm-hmm. And I remember that one of the senior vice president's assistants came in and like slid me a notepad and a pencil. And then I read on the top of it is, always have these two items wherever you go. And maybe she was like me, walking into a first, had no clue, and they just gave her a manila folder of comic books to at least look like she was prepared. Or let's look at it with true reality. This no longer is a government. This is the Muppet Show.
Sometimes it really seems that way, bro.
It has to be, dude. The director of
the Secret Service
had questions that were relevant to an assassination attempt. No knowledge.
Right.
Okay,
so this is, and I know that you and I disagree on this, and I don't even really have a hard stance, but this is the reason why I think it might be advantageous to explore having some kind of military professional unit protect these people. And you say no.
Nope.
Why?
I don't want the military in that position. I want that military to be fully separated. Period.
Okay.
Period. Don't get me wrong. I think people that served in the military should become personal security details for politicians, they go through and work for Secret Service. But at the end of the day, their paychecks can't come from DOD, in my mind, because that is breaching the one thing that our military should never do, is turn on its own citizenry. And we've had places where it's touched, when it comes to controlling riots. Now, I can guarantee, regardless of how bad the riot control would have went, they would have not taken life. But as a Secret Service member,
you would have to.
If you have to act, that's it. And once that's happened once, that's the camel underneath the tent. I just that one is an oddity to me. But it's funny that we did talk about that, and now here I sit. I'm on military.com, and what's one of the articles that comes up? Mm-hmm. How has the Secret Service protection changed for presidents over the years? On military.com. And I want to be able to read it, but of course now I have to pay for a subscription, so I'm not going to be able to read it through. But it's clear that you're not the only one that's thinking about this.
Well, but you make a good point. Being a Secret Service agent and a member of the military at the same time may put you in a position to have to take the life of a fellow American. And I agree that clouds the waters. But does it make it better if you're. So let's say then that they change the qualification to you must have served in the military. You must be a veteran to hold this job. Isn't that kind of the same thing?
No, I'm cool with that.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you're post service. You're out of the
citizen,
pipeline, man. You know, it's just like a race truck or a race car driver.
I don't know, man. I don't disagree with you.
I don't know.
I just think that this it all seems too elementary for the job that institution is meant to do. It seems like the type of job that they did, especially that day, seems very elementary to me, and they missed a lot of things. Go ahead.
No, you go.
Well, they missed a lot of things. And so, like, these are the people that are in charge of protecting the leader of the free world.
Right.
And they didn't secure an effing roof because somebody might get hurt. But the counter snipers were posted up on a roof that had a larger pitch than the one that little kid was on.
Oh yeah, that was at least 212 pitch steeper.
Yeah.
2 foot over 12.
So what is that all? I mean,
It's all bullshit.
Yeah.
It's just bullshit. And again, if there's anybody out there that sees this and just can't understand that this is not a coincidence,
not at all. It can't be.
you cannot continually overlook this. But I think the Secret Service does a hell of a lot more than just protect president and our
absolutely.
dignitaries.
Yeah.
And so I would say, is it a failure of Secret Service, or has it been a failure of Secret Service and mission, and they're tasking everything through Secret Service to do all those other pieces, and they're not building the right teams to do the bridge and build out on the events? Because I could assure you there are many field grade officers that I deployed around that I would absolutely want to do the battle planning for force protection or counterinsurgency at any outdoor rally. Like, they've got the pedigree, the time and saddle. They can see opportunity where nobody else can see opportunity because they've had to fight insurgency.
Yeah. Right.
So it's just, well, maybe piss poor hiring from the top down, or maybe the people that have done it before don't want to go do it again. Sick and tired of it. They don't want to put their name in the hat and not be able to pick their duty position. So they go into Secret Service, and then maybe they get stuck guarding, the Eagle, and they want to be guarding the Falcon.
Llama.
Right? I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if they have like cool names for all these people.
Yeah.
Except for Big Mike. I assume that one's stuck.
Yeah, it's stuck all right. Well, man, geez. I don't know. Do you think it's something as silly and corrupt as, well, we don't like Donald Trump, so we're going to give him the people who don't know how to work a holster, and we're going to give him the short people that can't cover him, and we're going to give him the people that are scared to go on a roof because they might slip.
Now, let's be honest. When bullets are flying, your natural reaction is to certainly make your silhouette as small as possible.
Yes.
And you would hope through muscle memory and training that these folks would be in a position to do a much greater job than what we saw out of particular people. Mm-hmm. Because I thought as a whole, the way they when they finally recognized, and everybody wants to say, it took so long. That was not long. That was pretty short.
They were on him in like 5 or 6 seconds.
Yeah, and we're talking, person. I mean, they covered some serious ground to get there.
Yeah.
And then also thinking about coming up over the edge of that stage. But I digress. But once he was down and came back up, and he still had people crouching down, like, that's your job. You are cannon fodder. I'm sorry, that's your get. Like, I wouldn't know. I would absolutely assume if I were given dignitary PSD detail, those things start flying, you're in between point A and point B.
Correct.
So you're going to be center bang. And when you have somebody that's crouching down, natural reaction, of course. You can't deny that. But the others didn't. And then you have Fumbly McFumbleton, the Mick Holster, after the seventh attempt or sixth or fifth. I don't know. I haven't really watched
She even
the video.
gave up once. I'll keep this at low ready.
And don't get me wrong, like I've had moments like that at the range where I went to holster my piece, and maybe I missed once, but it was typically because I was probably doing something else. And I've also lived in times where I've had adrenaline pumping through for the first time. Like, you remember that first time?
Oh yeah.
When your tongue gets big and time slows down. And I bet we were watching it. That must have felt like forever for her, bro. I mean, she was like watching a movie.
Yeah, dude.
Miss.
Yeah. Yeah.
That had to be horrible. But it doesn't excuse the fact that something like that should be absolute muscle memory was missed too.
Agreed.
I mean, that's you've got loaded weapons. Then you got guys talking about flagging President Trump in his motorcade. Well, I'm looking at that dude swiping that M4, and when we talk about people in the military, that should be part of those details. That gentleman had every stinking veteran drip characteristic that you could ever have, all in one. Like, I just laughed, and I'm like, no, I guarantee if he did flag that vehicle, it hit the corner of the headlight. Like, he wasn't drawing that. That dude had his shit figured out.
Well, and let's be honest, man. When bullets are flying and people are running everywhere and they're screaming and there's people in the stands are laying down bleeding and dying, and you're trying to get your principal out of the AO into the escape vehicle and out of there, the last thing you're worried about is your muzzle awareness. You've done this enough times,
right,
to understand where your weapon needs to go. You've done this, and especially if you're guarding somebody like Donald Trump or the president or any candidate or anybody that deserves to have Secret Service protection. I mean, give them a break. And
yeah, he didn't. That was so foolish.
And so, like, and that's the thing, man. Like, all these people that are questioning that type of thing, they're nitpicking all this little stuff. Find a better job, right? Like, this is, I don't dare say, well, maybe you've probably never even been there, because they probably have, but they like to make, those are the guys that remember AR 670-1. They remember where every comma is and every period, what every number is, and blah blah blah. And they were probably the 42 Alpha admin person.
Right.
And then got yelled at the range for flagging his buddy. Right. Like, so just understand what the whole picture is before you start nitpicking little things here and there.
What is
even like Mick Holster.
Mick Holsterton?
Yeah, Mick Holsterton. Even her. Like, okay, that was embarrassing. And that's rough. That was a really
dude.
Tough
Yeah,
thing.
that's what I'm saying. Like, everybody's
give her
like,
a little bit of a
she
break.
shouldn't have that job. I'm like, really? Because she couldn't holster a weapon, and probably
Under
the most
stress.
duress that she will ever be under.
Yeah.
I'm
Right.
I'm not going to throw somebody. She didn't have an ND. If she would have hit that first one and
Shot herself in the
got
thigh.
one round down, and tried to
Plaxico
play
burst
cool,
herself.
right? And went Paul Blart in the scene. We'd have had an issue. But no, I mean, that's fully understandable. It's so different when it is reality, right?
And when I saw that the first time, I thought of the first time, not the first time, but one of the first times when Stu and I were bounty hunting, and we were trying to arrest this guy who was trying to, like, fight back and pull away.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to handle him, and I got my gun in my hand, and Stu's like, put your gun in your holster. And it took me like 4 times. you
Right.
know? And so after that, I went home, and I wore that holster for like 4 days.
Yep.
And every 3 minutes, I was holstering until I didn't have to look or feel,
Right.
and it just became natural. And so those things come, but under stress, it's a whole different thing.
Right.
But anyway, we are running out of time, and so we are at the best part of the show where we get our final thoughts. I love that. I love that Jason's here because that means we get to do final thoughts again.
So nice of you.
And I love doing final thoughts. And so, Jason, as a welcome home, a welcome back after being life happens and being busy.
Months of time in my construction job to get freed up to be here again.
But you guys should all know that Jason has been absent, but he's been working his testicles off. Trying to better things for him and his family, and so
let's be honest, to get back to zero, so I can sit here in the saddle with you.
Right on.
This is where I want to be. I want to be out here. I want to be here. I want to be talking to you guys. I want to have these conversations, and I want to be able to engage people with a bit of because we're just regular guys, regular veteran perspective, And we hear from the other ones too often. I don't feel like there's enough of us normies out there chatting. And I'm hearing it with frequency that I never thought I would, that what we have to say is resonating in places I didn't think it would. And so thank you to anybody who's watched here on YouTube, over at, Stucci Media or Opslands or any of these other places where we're able to get out there and say the things that we want to talk about. So just I thank you, and I look forward to spending more time with you down here eating. If you could see like the diabetes spread sitting in front of me with Chewy Sprees and Arnie Palmer's ready to go, like this is a great place to be, and this is great conversation to be had, and we need to do this with regularity. And that's my final thought, completely unrelated to the nonsense. But open your damn eyes.
That's okay. That's okay. So, it's a final thought.
There it is.
And so we're going to keep doing those because every time we do them, Jason, they get better. And so I appreciate your effort. You can't blame a guy for giving max effort, and he always does. And so my final thoughts are much like what I said on Monday. We have a lot of things going on around us, and there's a lot of attention to be paid all over the place. And so I think what the best thing to do for me anyway is to pick one or two of them and give them the attention that they deserve, and maybe not be nitpicking other things here and there, but it's also crazy. It's also nuts. And there isn't, like I said, there isn't such thing as a coincidence. Not anymore. Not in these situations. There can't be. So anyway, thank you for joining us. I really appreciate it. And I didn't say in the beginning, but we really do. When I tell you that we have whiteboards in here full of ideas, we do. And we're really trying to grow this thing. So if you like what we're doing, please, please, please drop us a like and subscribe. Share us with your friends, your family, your coworkers. There's a lot of people that probably really need to hear what we have to say. So please grace them with our videos and our content. But the reality is that we do have a lot of things that we really want to do for the veterans in our community and beyond. But we got to build it first. So we appreciate your help in that. Have a great week and weekend upcoming. We'll see you next week. Good night.